The Detroit Lions won last night. Great win, 6-2 on Monday Night Football. This is Victory Tuesday. Love talking victories. Love talking wins. It's great. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the bye week, the importance of it for the Lions. It's huge. The NFL Power Rankings after the victory. Where are the Lions ranked per the media? The NFL trade deadline. What's the latest regarding that in the Detroit Lions? Obviously, it ends today at 4 p.m., so it's a big day. Lions schedule, the remaining schedule. What does it look like? What happened in the NFC North? All of that. Let's get this thing started. Trying to continue to be the fastest growing channel here in Chat Sports. Currently, we're at 46,374. Let's get to 46,400 by the end of the day. With your help, we can get it done. Let's get into some quick information regarding the NFC North. Some news here. Cornerback Jaylon Johnson has been given permission to seek a trade. That's the cornerback from the Chicago Bears. The Detroit Lions have been linked to him. He is a good young corner, and today's the NFL trade deadline. So if he does get traded, well, you'd maybe be the Detroit Lions. If not, he'll be out of the NFC North unless he goes to an NFC North contender, at least out of the Chicago Bears as their team continues to struggle. As you know, Vikings lost Kirk Cousins for the 2023/4 season because he tore his Achilles heel, and he won't be playing this year, and it may be a little bit. So they got some quarterback issues over there for the Minnesota Vikings. What are they going to do? Could they make a trade at the trade deadline? Will they continue to be with the same players? It's interesting because that's the team that's 4-4 and they're second place in the NFC North. It really feels like the Lions are going to take the division after the Kirk Cousins fall, but we need to see what they're going to do at that quarterback position. Packers are absolute butt cheeks. Jordan Love looks bad, and same with the Chicago Bears. And right now the Lions are sitting very, very pretty upon that division. So a lot taking place in the NFC North, a lot good for the Lions, and not so much for the rest of the teams. Like I said earlier, subscribe to the channel right now. I'd love to get to 46,400. If an ad break happens, go ahead and take the time and to subscribe. Let's go ahead and get into these power rankings. The Detroit Lions have risen on most of the power rankings, not all. Weird. Sports Illustrated put them at 5th. Last week was 7th. Top 5 NFL team with the win there with the Raiders, and you get the bye week to rest up. And so the Lions are looking good regarding after this week and to the Chargers game regarding the injury front. Sporting news, the Detroit Lions went up one spot, top 6 team. With the win there, Pro Football Network went from 8th, I don't know, it says 8th, but it's to 7th, so that was definitely an error right there. So the Detroit Lions went up on them. ESPN went up by 1 from 9th to 8th. CBS Sports dropped the Detroit Lions 8th to 9th. CBS has been weird all year long. Only do you fall in a win. Yahoo, they went up from 6th to a top 5 football team. USA Today, like CBS Sports, dropped them a spot to 7th. And The Athletic dropped 2 spots. The Detroit Lions to the 8th. It's weird how you can win and lose rankings. It's just something that we know a little bit too much right here in Detroit. That's just one that happens. I do think the Detroit Lions are up there. I'm not sure exactly where I'd put them. Definitely top 10. That's where I have the Lions. I feel like they've left some points on the board this last game, and the injuries has been disruptive to this football team. But they're definitely a top 10 team. Don't really know. Philadelphia Eagles right now 7-1. They're looking pretty good. 49ers dropping 3 in a row. Issues right there. The Kansas City Chiefs fell to the Denver Broncos. It's a week-to-week league. And anybody that says instantly they're terrible when they lost the Ravens game, the season's over, that's just not how the NFL works. Sometimes bad teams can play good and vice versa. No one thought Denver would beat the Kansas City Chiefs. No one. One of the worst teams in football beating one of the best teams in football. It just happened. So I'm still same with where I have the power rankings. Again, a top 10 team. Don't know exactly. You can do 5, 6, 7, somewhere in there. Just depending. But it's a week-to-week thing. That's how the NFL works. It's kind of hard to know exactly, what they will be going forward because there's some injuries, and we expect them to get back and healthy. But it's been a long season. It's going to be a long season. So it's all really depends on that. Hell, look at the Minnesota Vikings. They're looking great. Lost Kirk Cousins for the year, and that is going to significantly drop them in play. I mean, they're one of they won three out of four or four straight, and they lost Kirk Cousins. So this last week, they won the battle, beating the Packers, but they sure definitely lost the war there with the injury front and losing such a talented Kirk Cousins who is having a magnificent year. So it's quite difficult right there. But I got a question for you. Where should the Lions rank in the NFL power rankings? 1, if you think the best in the NFL. 32, if you're absolutely delusional, or you're just trying to be a funny troll in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. And we're going to get into the Detroit Lions' health, and the depth at the running back position is really, really good right now. That empty spot is David Montgomery. He should be back for the Chargers game. We love what he brings to this team. Outstanding. Outstanding. Then you got Jahmyr Gibbs, who blew up last night. Just absolutely blew up. The guy was a stud. That's called a 1-2 punch. That's lightning and thunder right there. It's going to be quite difficult for NFL teams when David Montgomery comes back to slow this down. You got a run game that can get it done. They're going to run all over you, and then you just do play action where it's absolutely devastating when Jared Goff hits it to teams' defenses because he's just killing it right now. It's around 75% completion percentage. He's just absolutely punching them. And Craig Reynolds, your number 3. Talk about a really good number 3 running back. The Detroit Lions are great at the running back position. Absolutely great. This is a great sign when it gets colder out. When the Lions are on the road. You run the football, guess what, folks? You can win games, and they sure can. Jahmyr Gibbs has just been a stud so far this year, and it really was good last night. He broke out. 76 rushes for 399, an average of 5.3, 2 touchdowns. That's ridiculous, man. That is great work by Jahmyr Gibbs. Love the average there. It is good to see this football team able to run the football. Years and years we were unable to run, and that is now something of the past as the Detroit Lions are a running first football team. Today's the trade deadline. Big day. After the Lions win, the defensive line and linebackers there got 6 sacks last night on Jimmy Garoppolo. Still, I think the Lions need another edge rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Imagine if they got a Chase Young with the Lee McNeil, Aiden Hutchinson in the group. It would make this defensive line devastating. And if you're trying to make a run, you need to be devastating. There's Montez Sweat out there the Lions could get as well. I don't know about Danielle Hunter. It's an interesting situation for the Vikings because they won, but then they lost Kirk Cousins. So maybe they trade him. I don't believe so, but maybe. The Lions, I think, are one piece away on the line to do that. They could also go cornerback, folks. Like we said earlier, for the Detroit Lions. There was some issues for the Chicago Bears. Jaylon Johnson is allowed to seek a trade. The Lions need help at the secondary position. There's some players out there that the Lions could get. We could use another player here. And if you look at the depth, we're good with Cam Sutton, Jerry Jacobs. I'm fine with that. Jerry Jacobs has been playing great. Cam Sutton been playing great. But you want to make sure you're good to go. Will Harris is not that great. Chase Lucas, Stephen Gilmore, I like them as a project. And Khalil Dorsey's okay, special teamer. CJ Gardner-Johnson could be coming back, and I think he will come back before the playoffs. So if you could get one more corner, you would have Cam Sutton, Jerry Jacobs, i.e. player whom you trade for, and CJ Gardner-Johnson, and that's for the playoffs. That is a great secondary. Great secondary. And that's what the Lions need. they need to beef up that secondary. Like I said earlier, they need to beef up the defensive line. Let's make this devastating, folks. Let's make a trade. Trade deadline is at 4 p.m. If the Lions make a trade, I will be breaking it down on a video, so just FYI. Let's look at the Lions' schedule here. They're on a bye week. Yahoo! We need the bye week. Big time to rest up. Then we're at the Chargers. I think it's going to be a difficult game, folks. The Chargers, I know they're 3-4, but they got a good offense. Justin Herbert is good. He's a good. Austin Eckler, back to form. He's really good. Their defense is suspect, but their offense can put up points. So the Lions, that to me, it's a harder game. Home against the Bears, the Detroit Lions should dominate them. That should be a win. Home for Thanksgiving against the Packers, the Lions should dominate them. That should be a win. The Saints could be some trouble there as well. Like they're not terrible. They're not a slouch. They're an average team, and you're traveling there, so that makes it a little more difficult. And the Saints fans are rowdy. It's going to be rowdy at their stadium. And then you're getting away at the Chicago Bears. The Lions should dominate them. Home against the Broncos. The Lions will be favored, should win that game. At Vikings, 4-4, but Kirk Cousins ain't there. The Lions should win that game now, for sure. At the Cowboys, that's going to be a fun game to watch. Very difficult, but then you're home against the Vikings. The Lions should win that game. Look at the schedule. What I think there's gimme wins is Chicago. So that put us to 7-2, 8-2, home against the Green Bay Packers, 9-2 at Chicago, 10-2 at the Denver Broncos, 11-2 with the Vikings, 12-2 with the Vikings. Then you're looking at the 3 games there that it could be a flip. You got the Cowboys, Chargers, and Saints. So Lions, to me, could be 12-13 win football team this year. And that's important in trying to get that number 1 seed. We're sitting at number 2 right now. If the Lions can get to 13 wins, they have a legit shot at that number 1 seed and number 2 seed, which would be huge. Seeding does matter for sure. It absolutely does. Folks, make sure you hit that subscribe button because we could have breaking news, right? Today, the Lions could make a trade. Hit that notification bell. If it happens, awesome. If you're watching this and nothing happens and it was after the fact, hey, disregard. With that said, folks, adios.